A millionaire accidentally meets his down-and-out female classmate, and from that moment, the millionaire finds happiness before the story begins. Please comment where and when you are watching. Enjoy the story! The autumn breeze rustled through Central Park, scattering golden leaves across the winding pathways as Alex Blake loosened his Italian silk tie. The crisp October air offered a welcome respite from the stifling confines of his Wall Street office, where he'd spent the morning orchestrating a multi-billion-dollar merger. At 35, Alex had achieved everything he'd set out to accomplish. Senior partner at Goldman Sachs, a penthouse overlooking the park, and a reputation as one of the most shrewd investment bankers in New York. Yet on days like this, when the setting sun painted the Manhattan skyline in hues of amber and rose, something felt missing. The weight of his Patek Philippe watch seemed to remind him of time's relentless march forward, of opportunities lost and connections severed in his single-minded pursuit of success. As he rounded the bend near Bethesda Fountain, the melancholic strains of Tchaikovsky's Violin Concerto in D major floated through the air. Alex paused mid-stride, his breath catching in his throat. The piece transported him instantly to his college days at Juilliard, where he'd studied finance and economics while minoring in piano performance. The familiar melody tugged at something deep within his memory. Following the music, he emerged into a small clearing where a modest crowd had gathered. A woman stood playing, her eyes closed in concentration, her body swaying gently with each bow stroke. Beside her sat a small boy, no more than 6 or 7, carefully collecting dollar bills in a worn violin case. The scene might have been unremarkable. Street performers were common enough in the park, but Alex found himself rooted to the spot. The violinist wore faded jeans and a simple gray sweater, her honey blonde hair pulled back in a messy bun. Yet there was an unmistakable elegance to her posture, a refinement in her technique that spoke of years of classical training. As she reached the concerto's climactic passage, her fingers danced across the fingerboard with a grace that seemed at odds with her humble surroundings. Sarah! The name left his lips before he could stop himself. Sarah Monroe? The music faltered for just a moment before the violinist recovered, finishing the phrase with professional composure. When she opened her eyes, Alex found himself staring into the same striking green gaze that had captivated audiences at Juilliard over a decade ago. Recognition flickered across her features, followed quickly by something else, embarrassment perhaps or shame. "Alex Blake," she said softly, lowering her violin. "It's been a long time." The little boy looked up from his task of arranging the crumpled bills, his curious eyes darting between the two adults. He had Sarah's delicate features and the same weak-colored hair, though his was cut in a slightly uneven bowl shape that suggested a home haircut. "Mom?" he asked uncertainly, reaching for Sarah's hand. "It's okay, Tommy," she assured him, squeezing his fingers. "This is an old friend from school." Alex's mind reeled as he tried to reconcile the Sarah Monroe before him with the one he remembered. Back at Juilliard, she had been the star of the music department, a prodigy whose solo performances packed Avery Fisher Hall. Her future had seemed limitless. Prestigious orchestras had been competing for her even before graduation. The New York Times had called her the voice of a new generation in classical music. "I almost didn't believe it was you," Alex said, struggling to keep his voice casual. "Your playing is still beautiful." Sarah managed a small smile, though it didn't quite reach her eyes. "Well, the acoustics here aren't quite Carnegie Hall, but the squirrels seem to appreciate it." The attempt at humor felt forced, and Alex noticed how she shifted uncomfortably under his gaze, trying to angle her body to hide the violin case with its scattered bills. The instrument itself, while well-maintained, was clearly not the premium Stradivarius she had played in school. "Listen," he said, making a quick decision. "I know this might seem forward, but would you and Tommy like to join me for dinner? There's a great Italian place just a few blocks from here, Bella Vita. We could catch up." Sarah's posture stiffened. "That's very kind, but we couldn't possibly." "Please," Alex interrupted gently. "I'd love to hear what you've been up to, and I'm sure Tommy would enjoy their world-famous chocolate gelato." He directed this last part to the boy, whose eyes widened with interest. "Can we, Mom?" Tommy asked, tugging at Sarah's sleeve. "You said we needed to eat dinner anyway." Sarah hesitated, looking between her son's hopeful face and Alex's earnest expression. He could see the internal struggle playing out, pride warring with practicality, perhaps, or the natural suspicion of someone who had learned to be wary of unexpected kindness. "I promise no ulterior motives," Alex added softly. "Just dinner and conversation between old friends." The autumn wind gusted again, carrying with it the distant sounds of traffic and the last few notes of a street saxophone. Sarah's shoulders relaxed slightly, and she began carefully packing away her violin. "Okay," she conceded finally. "But Dutch treat. I insist." Alex nodded, though he had no intention of letting her pay. As he watched Sarah and Tommy gather their belongings, he was struck by the strange turns life could take. Here was Sarah Monroe, once the brightest star in their class, playing for tips in Central Park. The same Sarah who had once brought audiences to their feet was now carefully counting single-dollar bills while her son held open a fraying backpack. They walked together toward the restaurant, Tommy skipping ahead to examine interesting leaves and storefronts while Alex and Sarah maintained a careful distance between them. The conversation was stilted at first, safe topics like the unseasonably warm weather and the changes to the park over the years. But Alex could sense the weight of unasked questions hanging between them, stories waiting to be told. As they approached Bella Vita, its warm lights spilling onto the darkening street, Alex found himself hoping this chance encounter might lead to something more than just a single dinner. There was something about Sarah's dignity in difficult circumstances, the gentle way she guided Tommy, the passion that still emerged in her playing despite everything. It stirred something in him that years of boardroom victories and financial successes never had. The maitre d' recognized Alex immediately, ushering them to his usual corner table with a flourish of menus and a recitation of the evening's specials. Sarah looked uncomfortable with the attention, but Tommy was enchanted by the rich decor and the bread basket that appeared almost magically before him. As they settled in, the restaurant's soft lighting smoothing away the harder edges of the day, Alex made a silent promise to himself. Whatever had brought Sarah Monroe from the heights of musical acclaim to playing for tips in the park, he would find a way to help her. Not out of pity or obligation, but because he remembered the way her music had once made him feel. Like anything was possible, like beauty could transform the world. The waiter approached with a practiced smile, and as Sarah busied herself helping Tommy with his menu, Alex caught a glimpse of the girl he had known in college, brilliant, determined, full of dreams. She was still in there, beneath the worn sweater and careful demeanor. And somehow he knew that this unexpected reunion was about to change both their lives in ways neither of them could imagine. The aroma of fresh pasta and garlic bread filled the intimate corner of Bella Vita as Tommy enthusiastically attacked his plate of spaghetti marinara. Sarah watched him with a mixture of amusement and maternal concern, occasionally reaching over to dab at the sauce on his chin. The boy's unrestrained joy at this simple meal made Alex's chest tighten. It was clear such restaurant outings were a rare treat for them. "He has your appetite," Alex observed, remembering how Sarah used to devour entire pizzas after late-night rehearsals at Juilliard. "You always said performing burned more calories than marathon running." A genuine smile flickered across Sarah's face. "Some things never change. Though these days chasing after a 6-year-old keeps me in better shape than any concerto ever did." As the waiter cleared their plates, leaving behind steaming cups of espresso for the adults and the promised chocolate gelato for Tommy, the carefully maintained small talk began to fade. The boy was absorbed in his dessert, giving the grown-ups what Sarah called his selective hearing mode, present but lost in his own world. "You don't have to tell me anything," Alex said softly, stirring his coffee. "But I'd like to understand what happened. The last time I saw you perform was at Lincoln Center, right after graduation. The critics were calling you the next Hilary Hahn." Sarah's fingers traced the rim of her cup, her wedding ring conspicuously absent. "That feels like another lifetime," she said finally. "Another person, really. I did join the New York Philharmonic, just like everyone expected. First chair violin at 23, youngest in the orchestra's history." She paused, a shadow crossing her face. "I thought I had everything figured out. The career, the marriage to David. It all seemed perfect." "David Hamilton?" Alex asked, remembering the charismatic conductor who had guest-directed several performances at Juilliard. "I heard you two got married right after his appointment to the Philharmonic." "Yes, David." Sarah's voice carried a weight of unspoken pain. "We were the golden couple of New York's classical music scene. At least until the accident." She unconsciously flexed her left hand, and Alex noticed for the first time the faint scarring along her fingers and wrist. "It was such a stupid thing, really. A taxi ran a red light on Amsterdam Avenue. I threw up my hands to protect my face when we hit. The doctors said I was lucky. The nerve damage could have been much worse. But for a violinist..." "Mom makes the best music ever," Tommy interjected suddenly, looking up from his gelato. She can play any song I ask for. Sarah ran her fingers through her son's hair, her eyes bright with unshed tears. That's sweet, honey. But Mommy can't play quite like she used to. She turned back to Alex. I can still play, as you heard. But the precision, the speed, the control needed for professional classical performance, that's gone. Permanent nerve damage in 3 fingers. And David? Alex asked, though he could guess the answer from her earlier bitterness. He stuck around through the first 3 surgeries. But when it became clear I wouldn't be returning to the Philharmonic, she shrugged, the gesture attempting casualness but betraying deep hurt. He said he couldn't watch me waste away teaching children's violin lessons. That his career needed a partner who could maintain our position in the musical community. He left when Tommy was 2. Alex felt a surge of anger toward the man he'd once admired. He abandoned his own son? Oh, he sends checks, Sarah said with a hollow laugh. Very generous ones when he remembers. But he has a new family now, with the soprano he's been conducting in Vienna. Tommy's never met him. I have Mommy, Tommy said firmly, chocolate smeared across his chin. And Mr. Whiskers. At Alex's questioning look, he added, he's our cat. He's orange. The best kind of cat, Alex agreed, earning a grin from the boy. To Sarah, he said, but surely with your talent, your training, there must be other opportunities in music? I tried teaching at first, Sarah admitted. But most serious music schools want instructors who can demonstrate advanced techniques. I picked up some private students, did some event performances, but she gestured vaguely at their surroundings. New York isn't kind to musicians who can't play at the highest level. The medical bills ate through our savings, and then the divorce. Well, you saw where we ended up. Alex leaned forward, his voice low and intense. Let me help, Sarah. I have connections, resources. There must be something. No. Sarah's response was firm, though not unkind. I appreciate the offer, Alex, really. But I can't accept charity, even from an old friend. Tommy and I are managing. It's not the life I planned, but we have each other, and that's enough. It's not charity, Alex insisted. It's an investment in talent. Even with the injury, your musicianship is extraordinary. You could be teaching theory, conducting youth orchestras, consulting on musical education programs. The connections I have in the Arts Foundation world. Mom! Tommy interrupted, stifling a yawn. I'm getting sleepy. Sarah immediately began gathering their things, the practiced movements of a single mother used to adjusting her schedule to her child's needs. We should go. It's past his bedtime and we have a long subway ride. At least let me call you a car, Alex said, already reaching for his phone. Sarah hesitated, looking at her tired son. Okay, she conceded. But just this once. As they waited outside the restaurant for the car, Tommy's head resting against his mother's side, Alex watched Sarah in the gentle glow of the street lights. Despite everything life had thrown at her, there was still a grace about her, a resilience that went beyond mere survival. He thought about the vast empty spaces in his own life, the relationships sacrificed for success, the artistic dreams abandoned for practical concerns. Think about what I said, he told her as the car arrived. Not for my sake or even yours, but there are kids out there who need someone like you. Someone who understands both the heights of success and the reality of setbacks. The foundations I work with are always looking for people who can make a real difference. Sarah helped Tommy into the car, then turned back to Alex. I'll think about it, she said softly. And thank you for dinner and for not pitying us. That's worth more than you know. As the car pulled away into the Manhattan night, Alex stood watching until its taillights disappeared around a corner. He pulled out his phone and made a quick call. James, sorry to bother you so late. Remember that arts education initiative we discussed for the foundation? I think I've found exactly the person we need to develop it. Yes, I know what time it is. Trust me, this is important. He began walking toward his apartment, his mind already racing with possibilities. Sarah might resist accepting help for herself, but for the chance to make a difference in young musicians' lives? That was a different story entirely. And Alex Blake had not become one of Wall Street's most successful players by giving up easily on something he believed in. The autumn wind had grown colder, but Alex barely noticed. For the first time in years, he felt truly energized, truly purposeful. Sarah's story had awakened something in him, a reminder of the transformative power of music and of the unexpected ways life could offer second chances to those willing to take them. The gleaming facade of the Manhattan Music Academy stretched toward the autumn sky, its renovated brownstone exterior a stark contrast to Sarah's modest apartment building in Queens. She stood on the sidewalk, gripping Tommy's hand perhaps a bit too tightly, while her son gazed up at the elegant entrance with undisguised awe. "Mom, look at all the violins." Tommy pressed his face against the display window, where instruments of various sizes hung like precious jewels against deep blue velvet. "Come on, honey. We don't want to be late." Sarah checked her watch, a habit from her orchestra days that had never quite faded. Alex had arranged this meeting with the Academy's director for 10 o'clock sharp, and her pride wouldn't allow her to be anything but perfectly punctual. The interior was just as impressive. Warm wood paneling, practice rooms with state-of-the-art acoustics, and the gentle cacophony of scales and arpeggios drifting through the halls. A teenage girl passed by carrying a cello case, nodding politely to Sarah and Tommy. A tall woman with silver-streaked hair approached them, hand extended. "I'm Catherine Chun, the Academy's director. Alex has told me so much about you." Sarah returned the handshake, trying to project confidence she didn't quite feel. "Thank you for meeting with us. This is my son, Tommy. A pleasure to meet you both." Catherine's smile was genuine as she bent slightly to address Tommy. "Do you play any instruments?" "Mom teaches me violin sometimes," Tommy answered. "But Mr. Whiskers doesn't like it much." Catherine laughed. "Cats can be tough critics. Why don't you come with my assistant, Jenny? She can show you our student lounge while your mom and I talk. I hear we have some excellent hot chocolate." After Tommy was safely settled with Jenny, Catherine led Sarah to her office. Through the window, Sarah could see the spires of St. John the Divine in the distance. How many times had she walked past this very building during her Juilliard days, never imagining she'd be here like this. "Alex mentioned your situation," Catherine began, gesturing for Sarah to sit. "But he didn't need to tell me who you are. I was at your final performance with the Philharmonic. Sibelius's violin concerto, wasn't it?" Sarah's throat tightened. "Yes, though I try not to dwell on those days." "Understandable." Catherine's expression was sympathetic, but not pitying. "But it's precisely those days, and what came after, that make you uniquely qualified for what we need here." "I'm not sure I follow." "Our students are talented, driven, and terrified," Catherine explained. "They're under immense pressure to be perfect, to never falter. What they need isn't just technical instruction. They need someone who understands both the heights of success and the reality of failure. Someone who can teach them not just how to play, but how to survive in this world." Sarah shifted uncomfortably. "My technical abilities are limited now. I can't demonstrate advanced techniques." "We have plenty of teachers who can demonstrate perfect technique," Catherine interrupted gently. "What we need is someone who can teach resilience, adaptability, and the pure joy of music, even when things don't go as planned." She pulled out a folder. "We'd like to offer you a position developing and leading our new adaptive music program. It would involve working with students who face various challenges, physical, emotional, economic, helping them find their path in music, whatever that might look like." Sarah stared at the proposal in front of her. The salary was more than generous, and the teaching schedule would allow her to be home when Tommy finished school. But more than that, it was the program itself that called to her. I need time to think about it," she said finally. "Of course." Catherine smiled. "Though I should mention that Alex has already arranged for a full scholarship for Tommy in our youth program, regardless of your decision." Sarah felt a flash of her old pride, the instinct to refuse charity. But then she thought of Tommy's face pressed against the window, his eyes bright with possibility. Sometimes, she realized, accepting help wasn't about her at all. A week later, Sarah stood before her first class. 6 students, each with their own story, their own challenges. A girl with cerebral palsy, who dreamed of playing the harp. A boy with anxiety so severe he could only perform if his therapy dog was present. A young prodigy struggling with repetitive stress injuries. "Music," she began, her voice finding its strength, "is not about perfection. It's about connection. Today, we're going to explore what that means for each of you." As she guided them through their first lesson, Sarah felt something shift inside her. The weight of her past, the accident, David's abandonment, the lost dreams, began to feel less like a burden and more like a gift she could share. These students didn't need her to be the perfect violinist she once was. They needed her to be exactly who she had become. Later that evening, as she helped Tommy with his own violin practice, she caught a glimpse of their reflection in the window. The setting sun painted the small living room in shades of gold, and for a moment, she saw them as Alex might see them, not broken or diminished, but transformed. Different strings, different music, but still playing. Mr. Whiskers, sprawled on the windowsill, flicked his tail in time to Tommy's somewhat wobbly scales. Sarah smiled, remembering Catherine's words about tough critics. Perhaps the cat, like her, was learning to appreciate a different kind of perfection. Her phone buzzed with a text from Alex. "How was the first day?" Sarah looked at her son, concentrated on his bow hold, then at the lesson plans spread across their dinner table. Plans for students who, like her, were finding their way back to music through unexpected paths. "It was a beginning," she typed back. And for the first time in years, that felt like enough. As Sarah began to regain her footing in the music industry, a shadow from her past unexpectedly reemerged. It was during a particularly busy week at the music school, where she was preparing for a series of performances and lessons, that she received a phone call that would change everything. "Sarah, it's me, David." The voice on the other end sent a chill down her spine. It had been years since she had last heard from her ex-husband, and the mere sound of his voice brought back a flood of memories, some painful, some bittersweet. "What do you want?" Sarah tried to keep her tone steady, masking the anxiety that bubbled beneath the surface. "I'd like to talk about Tommy," David said, his voice tinged with a mix of urgency and uncertainty. "I think it's time we discuss his future." Sarah felt her heart race. David had never shown much interest in their son, Tommy, during their marriage. Why now? She had worked hard to build a life for herself and her son, and she wasn't about to let David disrupt that. "Fine, let's meet," she replied, her resolve hardening. They agreed to meet at a local cafe, a neutral ground where she could maintain some control over the situation. On the day of the meeting, Sarah arrived early, her mind racing with thoughts of what David might say. She had spent years healing from their tumultuous relationship, and the prospect of facing him again filled her with dread. When David finally walked in, he looked older, wearier, but there was a familiar arrogance in his stride that made her uneasy. "Thanks for meeting me," he said, taking a seat across from her. "I've been thinking a lot about Tommy and how we can co-parent better." "Co-parent?" Sarah scoffed. "You've barely been in his life. What makes you think you can just waltz back in and act like a father?" David shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "I know I haven't been there, but I want to change that. I can provide for him better than you can." Sarah felt a surge of anger. "You think money can replace the years you've missed? You don't get to come back and make demands. Tommy is my priority, and I won't let you take him away from me." Just as the tension in the air thickened, Alex, her colleague and friend, walked into the cafe. He immediately sensed the charged atmosphere and approached their table. "Is everything okay here?" he asked, his protective instincts kicking in. "Just a discussion about Tommy," Sarah replied, grateful for Alex's presence. She could feel the support radiating from him, and it gave her strength. David looked at Alex with disdain. "This is a private matter." "Not when it involves my friend and her son," Alex shot back, his tone firm. "I think it's best if you leave, David. You're not welcome here." David's face flushed with anger, but he knew he was outnumbered. "This isn't over, Sarah. I'll be back," he warned before storming out of the cafe. Once he was gone, Sarah let out a breath she didn't realize she had been holding. "Thank you, Alex. I don't know what I would have done without you." "Anytime," he replied, sitting down beside her. "You deserve to have someone in your corner, especially when it comes to Tommy." Over the next few weeks, Sarah found herself in a legal battle for custody of her son. David had hired a lawyer and was determined to fight for shared custody, claiming that he could provide a better environment for Tommy. Sarah felt overwhelmed, but with Alex's support, she began to gather her strength. "Let's prepare for this," Alex said one evening as they sat in her living room, surrounded by papers and legal documents. "We'll make sure you have everything you need to prove that you're the best parent for Tommy." Sarah appreciated Alex's dedication. He helped her organize her thoughts, gather evidence of her stability, and even practice what she would say in court. With each passing day, she felt more empowered, realizing that she was not the same woman who had once relied on David. The day of the court hearing arrived, and Sarah was a bundle of nerves. She wore a professional outfit, her hair neatly styled, and she felt a sense of determination wash over her. As she entered the courtroom, she spotted David sitting at the plaintiff's table, looking smug and confident. But Sarah knew she had something he didn't: her unwavering love for Tommy. The hearing was intense. David's lawyer painted a picture of Sarah as an unstable parent, but Sarah stood her ground. She spoke passionately about her commitment to Tommy, her career, and the life they had built together. She shared stories of their daily routines, the music lessons, and the joy they found in each other's company. After what felt like an eternity, the judge made her decision. I believe it is in Tommy's best interest to remain with his mother, Sarah. She has demonstrated stability and a nurturing environment for him. Tears of relief streamed down Sarah's face as she heard the words she had fought so hard for. She had won full custody of Tommy, and the weight of the world lifted off her shoulders. David's face fell, and for the first time, Sarah felt a sense of closure. In the weeks that followed, Sarah focused on rebuilding her life. She poured her energy into her music school, teaching her students with renewed passion. She found joy in the little things, watching Tommy play, attending school events, and even collaborating with Alex on music projects. One sunny Saturday, Sarah took Tommy to a local music festival. As they walked through the crowd, she felt a sense of freedom she hadn't experienced in years. Tommy was excited, his eyes wide with wonder as he watched performers on stage. "Mom, can I play on stage?" he asked, his voice filled with enthusiasm. "Of course, sweetheart. Let's ask the organizers," Sarah replied, her heart swelling with pride. After a brief conversation, they were invited to join a group of young musicians on stage. As Tommy took his place, Sarah watched him with admiration. He was confident, playing his instrument with skill and joy. In that moment, she realized that she had not only fought for her own freedom, but had also created a safe and loving environment for her son to thrive. "Mom, I want to be a musician like you," Tommy exclaimed after their performance, his face beaming with excitement. "You can be anything you want to be, Tommy," Sarah said, kneeling down to meet his gaze. "Just remember to follow your heart." As they left the festival, hand in hand, Sarah felt a sense of fulfillment. She had faced her past and emerged stronger, ready to embrace the future. With Alex by her side and Tommy's laughter filling her heart, she knew that she was finally free to live her life on her own terms. In the months that followed, Sarah continued to grow both personally and professionally. She started a new music program at her school, focusing on helping children express themselves through music. The program quickly gained popularity, and soon, Sarah found herself mentoring young musicians, just as she had once dreamed. One evening, as she was preparing for a concert, Alex stopped by to help her set up. "You've really built something amazing here, Sarah," he said, admiring the decorations and the energy in the room. "Thank you, Alex. I couldn't have done it without your support," she replied, feeling grateful for his friendship. As the concert began, Sarah took a moment to look out at the audience. She saw parents and children, all there to celebrate the power of music. It was a beautiful reminder of how far she had come and how much she had achieved. After the concert, as the applause echoed in her ears, Sarah felt a sense of pride wash over her. She had not only reclaimed her life, but had also created a legacy for Tommy. She was no longer defined by her past. She was a mother, a teacher, and a musician. As she packed up her things, Alex approached her with a smile. "You were incredible tonight. The kids really look up to you." "Thanks, Alex. It means a lot to me," she said, her heart swelling with gratitude. In that moment, Sarah realized that she had not only faced her past, but had also embraced her future. She was ready to continue her journey, hand in hand with Tommy and supported by friends like Alex. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, united by their love for music and each other. As the weeks turned into months, the bond between Sarah and Alex deepened. What had started as a friendship rooted in mutual respect and shared passion for music began to evolve into something more profound. They spent countless hours together, not only working on music projects, but also enjoying each other's company outside of the studio. Sarah found herself drawn to Alex's unwavering support and kindness. He was always there to lend a helping hand, whether it was assisting her with her music school or simply being a shoulder to lean on during tough times. His laughter filled her home with warmth, and she cherished the moments they shared, from late-night jam sessions to quiet evenings spent discussing their dreams and aspirations. Alex, in turn, admired Sarah's resilience and passion for life. He was captivated by her dedication to her son and her unwavering commitment to her music. The way she lit up when she spoke about her students or performed on stage was infectious. He realized that he had developed feelings for her that went beyond friendship. He wanted to be there for her, not just as a friend, but as a partner who could share in the joys and challenges of life. One evening, after a particularly successful concert, the atmosphere was electric. The audience had been enthusiastic, and Sarah felt a sense of accomplishment wash over her. As they packed up the equipment, Alex could sense the exhilaration in the air. "Tonight was amazing, Sarah. You were incredible out there," he said, his eyes sparkling with admiration. Thank you, Alex. I couldn't have done it without your support, she replied, her heart swelling with gratitude. As they finished packing, Alex took a deep breath, feeling the weight of what he was about to say. He had rehearsed this moment in his mind countless times, and now it was time to speak his truth. Sarah, can we talk for a minute? He asked, his voice slightly trembling. Of course. What's on your mind? She replied, sensing the seriousness in his tone. They stepped outside into the cool night air, the stars twinkling above them. Alex turned to face her, his heart racing. I've been thinking a lot about us, about everything we've been through together. You mean so much to me, and I can't help but feel that my feelings for you have grown into something deeper. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. She had sensed a shift in their relationship, but hadn't dared to hope for more. Alex, please let me finish, he interrupted gently. I know you've been through a lot, and I respect that. But I want you to know that I care about you and Tommy. I want to be there for both of you, to support you in any way I can. I'm ready to take that step if you are. Tears welled in Sarah's eyes as she processed his words. She had been afraid to let anyone in after her tumultuous past, but Alex's sincerity touched her heart. I've been feeling the same way, Alex. I just didn't know if it was the right time. I understand, he said, stepping closer. But I believe that together, we can create something beautiful. You and Tommy deserve happiness, and I want to be a part of that. In that moment, Sarah felt a rush of emotions, relief, joy, and hope. She reached out and took Alex's hand, feeling a connection that was undeniable. I would love that, Alex. I want to explore this with you. As they stood there under the stars, their hearts intertwined, Sarah knew that she was ready to embrace this new chapter in her life. With Alex by her side, she felt a sense of security and warmth that she had longed for. Together, they would navigate the challenges ahead, united by their love for music and each other. From that night on, their relationship blossomed. They became a team, supporting each other in their personal and professional lives. Alex often spent time with Tommy, bonding over music and shared interests. Sarah watched with a smile as her son laughed and played with Alex, feeling grateful that she had found someone who genuinely cared for both of them. As the seasons changed, so did their relationship. They went on outings as a family, attended concerts, and even collaborated on music projects together. Sarah felt a renewed sense of joy in her life, and she cherished the moments they shared. One afternoon, while they were working on a new song together, Alex turned to Sarah with a playful grin. I think we make a pretty good team. I agree, she replied, her heart fluttering. I never imagined I could feel this way again. Neither did I, he said, his gaze softening. But I'm glad we took the leap. As they continued to create music together, Sarah realized that she had not only found a partner in Alex, but also a true friend. Their connection deepened with each passing day, and she felt a sense of peace knowing that they were building a future together. With Alex's support, Sarah felt empowered to pursue her dreams even further. She began planning a music festival to showcase her students' talents, and Alex eagerly joined in to help organize the event. Together, they worked tirelessly, pouring their hearts into creating a memorable experience for the community. As the festival day approached, excitement filled the air. Sarah and Alex spent countless hours rehearsing with the students, ensuring that everything would go smoothly. On the day of the festival, the sun shone brightly, and the atmosphere was electric with anticipation. As they stood on stage, watching the students perform, Sarah felt a surge of pride. She glanced at Alex, who was beaming with joy, and in that moment, she knew that they had created something truly special together. After the festival, as they celebrated with the students and their families, Sarah felt a sense of fulfillment that she had never experienced before. She had faced her past, embraced her present, and was now building a future filled with love and music. With Alex by her side, she knew that they could conquer anything that came their way. Together, they were not just creating beautiful music, they were crafting a life filled with love, laughter, and endless possibilities. As the months rolled on, Sarah and Alex found themselves navigating the complexities of their new life together. Their wedding had been a beautiful affair, but the real work of blending their lives was just beginning. The wedding was a blur of emotions, laughter, tears, and promises made under a canopy of flowers. Tommy, dressed in a miniature suit, had stolen the show as the ring bearer, his excitement palpable. Sarah wore a gown that flowed like water, and Alex looked sharp in his tailored suit. They exchanged vows surrounded by family and friends, but the true test of their commitment lay ahead. After the wedding, the reality of their new family dynamic set in. Alex was determined to be a good stepfather to Tommy, but it wasn't always easy. Tommy was still adjusting to the idea of sharing his mother with someone else. There were moments of tension. Tommy would sulk when Alex tried to help him with homework or would roll his eyes at Alex's attempts to bond over video games. Sarah often found herself caught in the middle, trying to mediate between the two. "He's just trying to help Tommy," she would say, her voice a mix of frustration and understanding. "Give him a chance." But Tommy would just shrug, retreating to his room, leaving Sarah to wonder if this was how it would always be. Life settled into a routine. Mornings were chaotic, with Sarah rushing to get Tommy ready for school while Alex brewed coffee and packed lunches. They often ate breakfast together, but the atmosphere was sometimes tense. Tommy would pick at his food, lost in his thoughts, while Sarah and Alex exchanged glances, silently communicating their concerns. On weekends, they tried to spend quality time together. They would go to the park, where Alex would teach Tommy how to ride a bike. But there were moments when Tommy would refuse to listen, frustrated by his own struggles. "I can do it myself," he would shout, pushing Alex away. Sarah would step in, trying to calm the situation, but the tension lingered. Communication was a challenge. Sarah and Alex had different parenting styles, and it often led to disagreements. Alex believed in setting firm boundaries, while Sarah leaned towards a more lenient approach. "He needs discipline," Alex would argue. "He needs to know there are consequences for his actions." Sarah would counter, "He's just a kid, Alex. He needs to feel safe and loved." These discussions often ended in silence, with both feeling unheard. They knew they needed to find common ground, but it was easier said than done. They began to schedule weekly check-ins, where they could discuss their feelings and frustrations without interruptions. It was a step in the right direction, but the road ahead was still rocky. As the months passed, they began to establish small family traditions. Friday nights became game nights where they would play board games and enjoy pizza. It was a simple way to bond, and slowly Tommy started to open up. Laughter filled the room as they competed against each other, and for a moment the tension faded. During the holidays, they decorated the house together, blending their individual traditions into a unique family celebration. They baked cookies, hung ornaments, and created a warm atmosphere that reflected their love for one another. Tommy even started to look forward to these moments, his initial resistance giving way to excitement. However, challenges were never far away. Tommy struggled with feelings of jealousy when Alex would spend time with Sarah. "Why do you have to do everything with him?" he would ask, his voice tinged with resentment. Sarah would reassure him, "You're my son and I love you just as much. Alex is here to help us, not replace anyone." They sought to create an environment where Tommy could express his feelings. Alex made a conscious effort to bond with Tommy, spending one-on-one time with him, whether it was playing video games or going on adventures together. This helped to strengthen their relationship, but it was a slow process. Patience became a crucial part of their journey. Sarah learned to give Tommy space when he needed it, while Alex worked on being more understanding. They both realized that building a family was not a sprint, but a marathon. It required time, effort, and a willingness to adapt. As they navigated the ups and downs, they found solace in the little moments, cooking dinner together, watching movies, or simply enjoying each other's company. These moments became the fabric of their lives, weaving a tapestry of love, laughter, and support. As the seasons changed, so did their lives. Sarah's music career began to flourish, and she started performing at local venues. Alex was her biggest supporter, attending every show and cheering her on from the front row. Tommy, too, became her little fan, often drawing pictures of his mom on stage and proudly displaying them at home. With Sarah's growing success, the family faced new challenges, such as balancing schedules and managing time together. However, they approached these changes as opportunities for growth, finding ways to adapt and support one another. As the years went by, the family celebrated many milestones together. Tommy graduated from elementary school, and Sarah and Alex were there to cheer him on, beaming with pride. They threw a small party to celebrate his achievements, inviting friends and family to join in the festivities. On their wedding anniversary, Sarah and Alex took time to reflect on their journey together. They would often reminisce about their wedding day, the challenges they had overcome, and the love that had grown between them. Each anniversary became a reminder of their commitment to one another and the family they had built. As time passed, Sarah's music career began to flourish. With Alex's unwavering support, she decided to open her own music school, aiming to help more children discover the joy of music. Alex not only provided financial backing, but also actively participated in the school's preparations. Together, they selected classrooms, designed curricula, and invited talented music teachers to join their venture. On the opening day of the music school, Alex stood at the entrance, a proud smile on his face. He knew that this was not just Sarah's dream, but also a shared vision for their future. The school's launch attracted many children, and Sarah's passion and talent made every student feel the joy of music. The school quickly became a hub of creativity and learning. Children from various backgrounds came together, united by their love for music. Sarah organized various programs, including group lessons, solo performances, and even community concerts. The school not only nurtured musical talent, but also fostered friendships and a sense of belonging among the students. As the months went by, the school gained a reputation for excellence. Parents praised Sarah for her dedication and the positive impact she had on their children. Alex often helped out, whether it was setting up for events or simply being there to support Sarah. Their partnership grew stronger as they navigated the challenges of running a business together. Amidst the flourishing career, Sarah received life-changing news: she was pregnant. The moment she shared this with Alex, joy radiated from his face. He embraced her tightly, promising to always protect their family and provide Sarah and their future child with all the love and support they could ever need. As they prepared for the arrival of their new family member, they transformed a room in their home into a nursery. They painted the walls a soft pastel color, filled it with adorable baby furniture, and decorated it with cheerful artwork. Each item they chose was a reflection of their love and anticipation for the new life they were about to welcome. Sarah attended prenatal classes, and Alex was right by her side, eager to learn everything he could about becoming a father. They read books on parenting, attended workshops, and even practiced baby care techniques together. Their bond deepened as they shared this journey, filled with excitement and a few nervous moments. As the due date approached, Sarah felt a mix of emotions: excitement, anxiety, and overwhelming love. Alex was her rock, always reassuring her that they would face everything together. He often reminded her of the strength they had as a couple and how they would create a loving environment for their child. The holiday season arrived, bringing with it a sense of warmth and joy. Christmas was just around the corner, and the couple decided to celebrate in a special way. They wanted to create lasting memories as a family, especially with their baby on the way. On Christmas Eve, they decorated their home with twinkling lights and ornaments. The scent of freshly baked cookies filled the air, and soft music played in the background. They took turns hanging ornaments on the tree, reminiscing about their favorite holiday memories. Each ornament had a story, and they laughed as they shared those moments. As night fell, they settled in front of the fireplace, wrapped in cozy blankets. Alex suggested they play some music together, a tradition they both cherished. Sarah picked up her guitar, and Alex grabbed his trumpet. They invited their little one to join in, imagining the day when their child would be old enough to play along. The music flowed through the room, filling it with warmth and love. They played their favorite holiday songs, their voices harmonizing beautifully. In that moment, they felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for each other and the life they were building together. The music was a celebration of their love, their dreams, and the family they were about to become. As they played, they envisioned the future, a future filled with laughter, music, and cherished moments. They knew that challenges would come, but they were ready to face them together. Their love was a strong foundation, and they were committed to nurturing it as they welcomed their child into the world. The story culminated in a heartwarming scene on Christmas Day. Sarah, Alex, and their newborn son Tommy gathered around the tree, surrounded by gifts and the spirit of the season. They exchanged presents, each gift symbolizing their love and thoughtfulness. Tommy, though too young to understand, was enveloped in the warmth of his parents' affection. After the gift exchange, they decided to continue their musical tradition. Sarah strummed her guitar, Alex played his trumpet, and they sang songs that echoed through the house. The joy of music filled every corner, creating an atmosphere of happiness and love. As they played, they reflected on their journey, the challenges they had overcome, the dreams they had pursued, and the love that had grown between them. They knew that their story was just beginning, and they were excited to see what the future held.